Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the I.M.A.G.E TV show. This is a wonderful opportunity for all of you who are watching to take advantage of this content. My name is Bobby Pate, and I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. I served 11 consecutive years in prison for nonviolent drug convictions, possession with intent to deliver crack cocaine. I was able to utilize that time to my advantage. I worked hard, I educated myself, and I started helping those right around me, thanks to the good Lord above. We want to remind you to continue to keep watching the I.M.A.G.E TV show. Whenever you see me live on this screen, you know that you're in for an intelligent and wonderful conversation and journey. And I'm asking for your help in the fight against recidivism. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. PTWWN TV, Preach the Word Worldwide TV Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those of you joining us on YouTube, you're in for another great episode. I've got with me Duncan Shea, account executive for the Iowa Wolves. That's right, he's on the I.M.A.G.E TV show. And this man and his organization, the Iowa Wolves, developmental G League organization of the NBA, has inspired Des Moines, Iowa, and has helped the Image for Lives organization, has helped a lot of other organizations in the Des Moines community with tickets, the kids, the youth, the adults, parents who might be a little bit disadvantaged with finance. And Duncan, I want to say thank you so much for all the work that you've done in the community through the Iowa Wolves, and I want to say thank you for being on the show.
Of course, I'm happy to be here and happy to help out whatever I can.
So let's talk first of all. On this show, we talk a lot about reentry. We talk about those coming out of prison, back in the community, trying to get their life together, those that may have kids, and support. We've been talking about that support, those on parole and probation. And I want to tell you, man, that you have been a huge support with the Image for Lives program and in the community providing tickets for the kids to be able to attend the games. Most kids in Iowa don't get that opportunity to watch an NBA game. We had this year a preseason NBA game with the 76ers playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you helped us with the tickets throughout all the community, give all these kids an opportunity to watch an NBA game. The Iowa Wolves are off to a great start this year. So tell us just a little bit about your position with the Iowa Wolves, kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis, and why you like giving back to the community.
For sure, yeah. Well, to start off, my job in a nutshell is selling tickets to our games. But again, it's a lot more than that. We do, tickets, not only season tickets, but single game tickets, group tickets. Like, we like to do a lot of stuff with local churches, local businesses, helping them out with stuff like that. But a lot of it is in the game, and helping create that family-friendly experience that everyone wants when they're coming to a sporting event. There's moments where you kind of want to be in the crowd screaming and enjoying the game and, really rooting on your team. But there's also that aspect to where a lot of the families and the local community members here just love to sit back, enjoy some good basketball, and have fun with your family. And that's what's most important to me and how I can give back to the community through, donating tickets for like the Timberwolves game that we had here this past October, and I hope to have plenty more. But also, doing stuff through charitable donations for like nonprofit organizations, and seeing how we can give back and connect more with the community. Our goal as a G League team is to develop players to hopefully inevitably go to the NBA, but at the same time, it's also give people that might not be able to pay money to go and spend thousands of dollars at an NBA game, where you can come watch great NBA level players at a much cheaper price. And you can do that anywhere across the country now, which is great.
And speaking of NBA players, I remember some of the guys who came through the developmental league in Iowa here and played for the Iowa Wolves. Yes. And Luka Garza, number one, was one. And then we had Naz Reid was one that I used to watch quite often. and he is doing so well with the Minnesota Timberwolves now. I'm so proud to watch him play and watch to see how he's developed, into now an NBA star.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing being able to see players of that caliber that are in the NBA now. I mean, Naz Reid, Sixth Man of the Year, if people don't know that. Luka Garza, not Sixth Man of the Year caliber by any means, but he's a great rotational player on an NBA team, and the reason he got that opportunity is from playing in the G League. Same with Naz Reid. Naz was one of our first players when the Iowa Wolves took over the I.M.A.G.E 7 years ago. He was in one of those first couple teams that we had there. And now you see him in the NBA. He's getting great minutes. He's making an impact, and that's what a lot of the G League has done. I mean, last year we had 22 of the 27 players in the NBA Finals were at one point in the G League. So it's definitely one of the most influential leagues, I think, in basketball right now, because it's really helping those players that might not get recognized have that platform to show the NBA what they're really made of.
So let's just talk a little bit about the players and the character and the G League and basketball and the history, okay? A lot of guys, you got a lot of African Americans that play in the G League, in the NBA. Mm-hmm. A lot of that history comes from that prison to pipeline. A lot of guys may have had a lot of family members who were in prison, who were incarcerated, and a lot of players are giving back. They're looking to reach back. They know what it's like to go from poverty to success, to have financial success. What has that been like? What has that transformation been like for you working around those guys? What have you learned from being in this organization?
Yeah, I mean, first off, the business side, which is where I'm mainly spend my time, great development, great growth there. I've been there for about a year now, and my dad tells me every day that I'm a different person than I was before. This organization's definitely helped shape me as a young man, but also from the basketball side of things, there's a lot of great people around. Actually, very recently, this past Friday, Trevor Keels, one of the great Duke basketball players in the last couple of years, he recognized one of my season ticket holders out in the stands when I upgraded them down for some courtside seats one game. They were wearing a Duke jersey, and they were wearing his jersey. He told me the experience was unbelievable because he's never seen someone in Iowa wearing his Duke jersey. I mean, you'll see Jason Tatum Duke jerseys, you'll see Kyrie Irving ones, but Trevor by all means was not that level of star, but he still has that fandom here. And I was able to bring them down to courtside, get to have them spend some time with Trevor. Trevor signed the kid's jersey. It was an amazing experience to watch, and then to get a call or a text later from the dad saying that this is a memory that my kid will remember for the rest of his life. And he was unbelievably grateful, and just how I can make that type of impact for something so small, and the players can make that type of impact for something in their mind that could be so small but means so much to this future next generation in helping give back and do whatever they possibly can. It's a great organization to be in and around.
And that support is so important.
For sure.
When you talk about trying to change lives. There's a lot of kids here who don't get that opportunity to be able to watch an NBA game living in Des Moines, Iowa. You have to drive 4 hours north to Minneapolis to be able to see that. And so that is so important to me. I had a lot of feedback from parents saying this was so beautiful for our kids being able to go watch this game. Thank you so much. That was a lifetime experience for my kids. And your organization and you made that happen. And so, I think that's not only important, but it's very much needed, especially in our world that we live in today with all this chaos. We need more positive things for kids and youth and families to be able to get involved with. So the Iowa Wolves are, 12-1? What's the record?
We're 11-3.
11-3.
12-3. We just won yesterday. We are currently in the Winter Showcase for non-G League fans or non-NBA fans in general. The G League does things a little bit differently with their schedule. In a sense, this is the preseason tournament. So for NBA fans, it's kind of like the midseason NBA Cup that they have. This is a little showcase that all the teams come down to, but the top 8 get a play in and actually have, in a sense, worthwhile games down there. All the teams do get to play 2 to 3 games, though, no matter what, which is great. we're down there right now. A big turnaround from last season, and a lot of that I think has been to the culture up in Minnesota, but also the culture down here. Our coach, Ernest Scott, he's now really leading these men to being a lot more of a team-oriented, and sometimes you do see that player-oriented play in the G League just because, those guys are trying to make it to the NBA, so they want to show their talents. But Coach Scott has really pushed these kids into, just complementary basketball. I mean, yesterday, Dacian, Leonard Miller, and Trevor Keels all had 20-plus, with two of them having double-doubles. I mean, there's not many games like that where, or teams like that in the NBA G League where you can really show that they want to pass the ball, they want to rebound and get it to their players. They're not trying to put back every shot that they possibly can by any means. And that's why, we won by 20 points yesterday, 20-plus points yesterday, and we've won by so many times this season. And it's just a different culture, and I think it's organizational-wise this year. I mean, our side of things and the basketball side of things, we're trying to make a change, and it looks like the G League's finally noticing, which is good.
Awesome. Now, let's talk about you personally. You're from Des Moines, Iowa. Grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, and you're serving your community. You're giving back to your community. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, I like you said, born and raised here. Went to Greenwood Elementary, Callahan Middle School, up to Roosevelt High School. So I've been in this area my entire life. Went off to Iowa, learned a lot of great things, worked in a great sports organization there with the Iowa Hawkeyes, learned so many things on how not just Des Moines, but the entire state of Iowa is so community-oriented, and they just want to give back to everyone that they possibly can. And I've noticed that at Iowa, but also noticed that growing up here in Des Moines. I mean, I'll say this because now we're getting to the Christmas season. All of my friends are coming back home to see their families where I'm still back at home with my family. And my best friends from 15 years ago, we caught up like we didn't miss a second. I mean, and that's what impacts me the most is this community loves themselves and loves giving back to the people. So that was been my goal from day one when I stepped into the Iowa Wolves organization was how can I connect with nonprofits, with organizations that may want to do some charitable donations. I work with a lot of great businesses that donate half of their season tickets just for charitable reasons, just to give out to something to the community for those people that can't afford that. They can have that once in a lifetime experience sitting courtside, sitting on the floor, getting those premium experiences that they probably won't experience too many more times in their lifetime. It impacts me so much. I mean, being able to look up in the crowd and see all these families, everyone having fun, it's the reason why I wanted to come back to Des Moines, work for this great organization, and really make a change here and continue to develop our great organization into one that hopefully the entire G League and the NBA recognizes as just one that loves their community and wants to give back as much as they possibly can.
And I'm sure that they will. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you joining us right now, we want to say thank you. You are locked and loaded into nothing but love. And we're on the I.M.A.G.E TV show, and we're back on the bricks here. And we've got Mr. Duncan Shea, executive accountant with the Iowa Wolves. And we are having a beautiful time chopping up this conversation. I'm a former basketball player, so this right here, this conversation is right up my alley. Let's talk just a little bit about player personnel. What do we have here with the Iowa Wolves as far as two-way contracts, guys that we will probably see in the NBA, maybe at the end of the season here, before long, possibly next year? Who's shining right now? Tell us a little bit about who we will see make that next level step quickly.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned before, there is a pipeline from the Iowa Wolves to the NBA with Naz Reid and Luka Garza and some other players. I think we've had 8 total of our Iowa Wolves players play in the NBA and make some meaningful minutes. Most recently, DJ Carton last season. He's from Bettendorf, Iowa. Great story there. He got called up to the Toronto Raptors at the end of this season and made some moves there, which is great. But this year, we've got 3 two-way players and 2 assignment players. Two-way players will definitely play about a 50-50 with us and Minnesota, and those are going to be Jesse Edwards. He's a rookie out of West Virginia, big man. He can block anything, get as many rebounds as possible. He's got long arms. He could probably touch the rim without even jumping some days.
How tall is he?
I think he's probably 7'7", 7'1". And he's got some long arms. I mean, it's not hard for him to pull down a rebound. Let's just say that. And then we've got Dashi Nix. He's phenomenal guard. Actually, one of our highlights this season was from him. I mean, he had, I think it was 48 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, like unbelievable game. And to top it all off, we play a different overtime. We play just to 7 points. So whoever's first to 7, no matter if it's 6-5, and they score a 2-pointer, it's game there. You know, it's not win by 2 by any means. We're down 1. Next point basically wins, and he steals the inbound and gets the game-winning assist to walk it off in our home arena on the second night of the season. So, you know, getting a massive overtime win and dropping, 45-plus points. I definitely will see. You'll see him in the NBA, and you have probably seen him in the NBA make some splashes here and there. By all means, he's more of a garbage time player, but in years to come, he's going to be making some moves, and he's going to be having some Luka Garza and Naz Reid type aspects to him for sure. And lastly, we got Jalen Clark. He missed all last season with the torn ACL, which was really tough for him, I'm sure. But he's definitely stepped into his own this year. He's doing really well. He's started some games, but he's also been a very impactful player, probably in the locker room and on the court from the bench and from a lot of different ways. He's a great player, and I could definitely see him making a move up to the NBA at some point too. And then we've got some assignment players that are great. Leonard Miller, he's a young guy. He actually just won the I.M.A.G.E League Player of the Month last month.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
yeah, and Coach Scott won Coach of the Month. So bringing in the hardware already this season, and hoping on Saturday we'll bring in some more. But, yeah, we've got some great players. I mean, some guys that are super fun to watch. One of my new favorites on the team is Martez Brown. I was able to talk with his manager. He's a great guy, too. Martez is in a sense, our backup center, kind of power forward type of role he plays. He plays such hard defense. That's my favorite aspect to the game is defense. Because I'm a Hawkeye fan. It kind of well, not Hawkeye basketball by any means. We don't play defense, but the football team surely does. So, I love watching him play. He plays with so much intensity, and by all means, he can swat the hell out of a ball whenever he needs to. And I watched him do it several times yesterday. So. But yeah, there's some great players on the team, and they're super fun to watch play.
So Duncan, what are your plans for your career? Do you plan on trying to move up just like the players are? Do you plan to eventually be an executive somewhere with the Timberwolves?
Every kid's dream is to work for an NBA team, and every sports kid's dream, in a sense, is to work for an NBA and NFL team, or MLB, NHL, whatever your fix is there. But I don't have necessarily a set out exact position. What I want to do is I want to get to a spot where I know that I'm making an impact on my organization, whether that's through ticket sales, through community engagement, through some type of aspect of marketing. For me, there's no real position that I desire. It's more, where can I go that I can truly be myself and make the organization the way that I think it should be seen? Which growing up here, that is a very community engaged organization and really likes to give back as much as possible. And NBA is one of the best at doing that. They donate a lot of money. They give away a lot of stuff, and really create great experiences for young kids. There's some NBA games where you can get some cheap tickets up in the 300 levels. Maybe it's not the best viewing in the world, but it's an NBA game at the end of the day. So, there's a lot that I would like to do with my life, and a lot that inspires me, but growing up here, family's everything to me. I still, unfortunately, live with my parents and my brother, but I still get to see my grandma and grandpa that live here too. My aunt lives here. A lot of my family is from the Des Moines kind of Midwest area. So for me, it's just creating that family wherever I can be, and then engaging them in that community and just really making it Des Moines, wherever the Des Moines next will be for me, and just continuing that path of what everyone here has taught me, and that's just to be, the best person I can, and just keep moving forward.
Well, that's a mouthful right there. It's very important that people watching this show right now understand what it means to get the support from these other organizations. If you own a nonprofit, if you're running a nonprofit, if you're a part of a church or activities director of any sort, it is important to engage with other organizations in your community. I reached out to Duncan and I just told him, a little bit about Image for Lives. He had heard a little bit about it from his previous employees that worked there with the Iowa Wolves. And those connections and that communication is so important. It's life-changing. Like I said, we've had kids here in the inner city of Des Moines that have been able to be involved with the Iowa Wolves and go to the games and start, paying attention to the scores and the players and watching them go up and down, through the two-way streaks. And I mean, that is exciting to be able to be a part of. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that want to do stuff like that, but they don't know how.
Yeah. Well, it's real simple. I have a great team. We're 16 strong right now. Which is a big jump. We were at 7, I believe, about 3 years ago. So a very growing organization, but we care about whoever we're talking to at the end of the day. Some organizations at certain levels, it can be very transactional, but we're in the relationship building industry. The G League by all means is not, the most flashy of organizations, but, we really love who we work with, and we really want to create the best experience possible at the end of the day. So whether it's me or it's someone else on my staff, I know full-heartedly that they are going to do everything that they possibly can to create an amazing experience for your churches, businesses, nonprofits. I work with a lot of local nonprofits, obviously. It's just whatever we can do to impact them. That's the biggest thing, because like you said, they don't maybe get to experience this all the time. I have local, youth pastors and youth leaders. That's what I've been working with a lot recently, connecting with them and creating those experiences for those young kids, because, unless I reach out to them, they don't know that these are opportunities that they can do. Right. Even if it's just a general ticket to a game, sure. We can do something like that. We can do, we can get them, Dippin' Dots vouchers where they can go and redeem the Dippin' Dots and they think it's a free Dippin' Dots, stuff like that. We have hats, we have merchandise, we have experiences, like one that's really close to me is our national anthem. This year I've been working with a lot of local elementary and middle schools, inviting them out to sing our national anthem, and I got to do that with the Iowa Energy when I was a kid. So, I mean, there's so many things that we can do, which is what I love about the G League, because you can be creative. I mean, it's a league where it's almost do it and then ask for forgiveness later, in a sense, because there's so much creativity that we can go with, because the NBA is just like, put the best product out there that you guys can, and they give us all the reins to do that, which is phenomenal. I mean, there's been talks about we have event spaces where there's a guy that was going to bring in a golf cart for a golf cart show, stuff like that. I mean, you don't get to do something like that at the NBA level. So it's so cool. So we can do so much with you guys if you just ask us. It's all about what you want to do out of it.
How hard is it for a lot of these players to be able to adjust to the culture and the environment in Iowa? Once these players come out of college, from whatever university they come from, or overseas, or another G League organization, coming to Des Moines, Iowa is obviously not a major city. It's a little bit different. There's a lot of minorities. For Black people, they come here and become a minority. Mm-hmm. And how hard has that adjustment been for the G League with it being minimum dollars in the financial range?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for any of the players by any means, but it is a lower pay, obviously, than the NBA level by all means. But our organization in Minnesota specifically does a lot to make sure that those guys they live not like a completely comfortable life where they're living in mansions by all means. Right. But Minnesota does a great job of making sure that these guys have everything that they possibly need to come down here and succeed. There's a great culture here in Des Moines, and I think a lot of the players no matter how long they are here, they do realize that. I've just talked to some guys from last year's team, and it seems like some of the guys from this year's team, they like the community. It's very friendly. I grew up here. I've never once felt that I was, in danger or unsafe because, the community does not want, everyone wants to love each other. There's not as much hate here as maybe there is in other communities, unfortunately. But a lot of the players, it seems like they love Des Moines. It's a great smaller city. And the good thing is none of the G League teams are in big cities. Miami Heat's team, they're up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. You've got Oshkosh, Wisconsin. You've got Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're not sitting in there's some that are in the heart of New York City, like the New York Knicks is Winchester. I probably should know that. But South Bay Lakers, they're in LA. So there's some teams in bigger markets, but it's very nice to have that small community though for these guys because they don't they will probably want to play in front of 40,000 people on any given night. It would be a phenomenal experience. But to play in front of our crowd, we typically have 4,000 people. So they get to really work on their craft. It's not like they've got that loud experience and loud atmosphere that they might have had in college and NBA, where a lot of those guys just get to work and they work really hard. I see it every day.
What is the average base salary? What are these guys making?
I have a rough idea. I don't have an exact number.
Okay.
I wish I did. If you go based off averages, because the two-way players are paid by Minnesota, so they get a lot more money than say the average G League player. But the average G League player, makes a very good wage in a sense. They make probably roughly $50,000 to $60,000, depending on the player. There's maybe some a little bit lower, some a little bit higher, but on average, I would say it's probably around there. Which for 7 months of work, 8 months of work it's not a bad pay.
And what about for some of the two-way players, the higher paid two-way players?
Oh, their contracts are with Minnesota, so most of those guys are hitting at least $800,000, a year, with some of them getting paid even more. Luka Garza got a full-time contract, but it's very similar to his first contract that he got with the Timberwolves. I think he's getting 3 years, roughly $5 million. So they make some good money. In the NBA's terms, it's probably kind of pocket change for some of those guys like LeBron and Curry and all them, but by all means I would take 3 years, $5 million in a heartbeat. Yeah. I'd go up to Minnesota the next day.
You see, I'm representing Timberwolves.
I like it.
I support them. I go up there and support them. Actually, I got this at a Minnesota Timberwolves game a couple years ago.
It's comfy.
Do you think that Luka Garza will stay in the NBA, that he'll be a veteran player? Or do you think he would get chopped before that time is up?
He's a great guy, and he's a great player. I worked for the University of Iowa for every year that he was at the university there. And he's a great player on offense. He's got his struggles on defense, but he's a hard worker. That's the one thing I noticed. Working for the team, I was there well before and well after games. And him and the Murray twins, they worked harder than anyone I ever saw work. There were some players that definitely got out there. Some are not going to love to hear this, but Conor McCaffrey is also one of the hardest working players I ever watched, and I'm sure one day he will be a coach. But Luka alone, he works really hard and he trains his butt off. So will he make it? Hopefully. I can't say for sure, but he's got the work ethic and he's got the skill to make it, and hopefully get to that level to be, a veteran and get that pension from the NBA. He's well on his way definitely to get there, so that's great.
How many games total are played in a single season in the I.M.A.G.E League?
Depends if we make the playoffs, which this year, it's looking like we have a pretty good shot at it. But regular season is roughly 42, 43 games, depending on the teams. Because some teams don't play as many games. It's really close, though. But it's a decent long season. Versus
the NBA. NBA season is what, 86 games?
82. 82. Yep, 82. So it's definitely a shorter season, but we just play from November to March. So not as long by any means as the NBA. But we play roughly 4 to 6 games, 7 games a month. So it's not like we're crowding them, like the MLB, there's 30 games a month, it seems like, where, we have 5-6 games, which is a good amount.
All right. Well, hey, man, this has really been some good educational information. I'm sure that a lot of people here have learned some things about the G League. We've got Duncan Shea, with us on the I.M.A.G.E TV show, and he's been breaking down the G League, talking about the players, talking a little bit about the history, and I think that we've learned some stuff. So those of you joining us on PTWWN TV, on YouTube, we wanted to encourage you to hit that button to continue on YouTube, to keep watching these episodes. PTWWN TV, we're going to continue to keep bringing this content to you. Again, we've been on parole and probation and support of, and we've been getting that support through the G League right here in my hometown, Des Moines, Iowa, in the Iowa Wolves. And so Duncan Shea has been a big part of that. He's been my partner here, and we've been making it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned in to another great episode. We want to say thank you for your time. It's about that time for us to wrap it up. So until next time, we want you to continue to be blessed, continue to read your Bible, and stay positive. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
So you think you're bad with your rap? Well, I'll tell ya, Pilgrim, I started the crap. When you were in diapers and wetting the sheets, I was at the Ponderosa rapping to the